Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. The meeting will begin in just a few minutes, but in the meantime, I encourage you to follow the instructions on the screen to log into Mentimeter, which we'll be using to collect your feedback during this meeting. So thanks for your patience. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Hi, everyone. For those just joining, we'll be starting the meeting in just a few moments. But in the meantime, encourage you to follow the instructions on the screen to get logged into Mentimeter, which is how we'll be collecting your feedback during this meeting.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us. My name is Kevin Rosenstein, and I'm a principal at Gensler. We're the firm that's partnered with the City of West Hollywood to develop the WeHo 40 strategic plan. The plan has been developed in partnership with stakeholders from across the WeHo community, and we value your participation and feedback. We work on a number of these kind of plans, and the high levels of engagement and participation of the WeHo community is truly unique. My colleagues will be walking through the agenda, but we welcome your comments as we go through using Mentimeter and also the Q&A, and Eric will explain that as we go through. This plan is intended to capture your feedback, and we've been documenting it into something that we think presents a strong vision, but also has actions associated with it to take WeHo to 40. I wanted to introduce David Wilson, a West Hollywood City Manager, to share his comments. David?
Good evening, everyone. I'm David Wilson, West Hollywood City Manager. Thank you all for joining us for this important virtual community meeting, where we will provide an overview of the West Hollywood Strategic Plan process and recap the activities we've undertaken so far. Your presence here is a testament to your dedication to our community and is greatly appreciated. Over the past months, the project team has worked diligently to ensure that our project reflects the needs and aspirations of the West Hollywood community. Through various feedback channels, including town hall meetings, surveys, and direct conversations, we have gathered invaluable input that has shaped our focus areas and goals. I want to thank Paulo Kesperdet, who has been the city's lead on this project, as well as the passionate and engaging community members that make up the coalition and action team, who have dedicated their time to ensure that this has been an inclusive process. And finally, I want to thank our partners, the Gensler and Design and Color teams, who will walk you through this evening's activities and highlight how the community's feedback has guided our direction. But before we get into the program, I do want to introduce the city council members that are joining us this evening. Mayor John Erickson is joining us, as well as some of the other council members that I can't see on my screen. I see Councilmember Lauren Meister. So Mayor Erickson, would you like to say a few words and then pass it on to your colleagues?
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. I brought the pet mayor because the pet mayor cares about strategic initiatives as well. So Winifred, the pet mayor, I know is here, and always a great chance to see Councilmember Lauren Meister, waving hi to her, as well as Yola Dore and a couple of other. Yep, that's right. And she's actually licking me and not the hot dog that I have right in front of me from Astro Burger to tempt her. But it's so great that you're all here. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your evening and time to talk about our strategic plan. This is exactly what we enjoy doing, and making sure we're hearing directly from you all on the vision for the next 40 years and what we're looking at as a city. And I know if I talked to the pet mayor right before this. She gave me a list. She's been working on it all night long. And they are, of course, more dog parks, more green spaces, more public safety, community safety, and of course, making sure that she has ample places to take longer naps. So I don't know how we'll fit that into the strategic plan, David, but we'll figure it out eventually. So from me and the pet mayor, we'll toss it over to, I think, Vice Mayor Chelsea Byers.
Hey everyone, I'll keep it brief. I'm walking on the city's westernmost edge, the Doheny stretch that connects our city to Beverly Hills. I know we as a city play such a unique role in this whole county and region. And it's exactly because we have processes, like our speaker at the top said, are more engaged by more community members than in any other place. Sorry, it's loud. So I just want to thank you all for how many times you've been up through this process, and hope you have a great night tonight participating in this meeting. I'll hand it over to Councilmember Lauren Meister and thank her for making the intersection behind me at Doheny and Cynthia a world better through your persistent and vision and long-term strategic planning. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Vice Mayor. It only took 15 to 20 years to get that. So, you know, that's what persistence does. So that's what I have to share with all of you. Your persistence being here, giving your opinions. It's like the old wedding vow, you know, speak now or forever hold your peace, right? And Winnie, I know you also said you want more trees.
Yes.
And so, yes, because all of our dogs need more trees. And so we're working on that as well. Just want to thank everyone for being here. And, you know, it's important. It really is. And it's about the future of the city. It's about what our community feels, what West Hollywood will be in 20, 30, 40 years from now. So thank you again, and thank you, Mayor, and Pet Mayor, and have a great session here tonight.
Thank you. And I will turn it back over to the Gensler team.
All right. Okay, thank you, David. Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Wong. I am with Gensler, which is the firm that's leading the development of this strategic plan. And I'll be kicking off tonight's session by just giving you a brief overview of the project, some of the activities that we've been doing, and then also some of the findings that have led to the goals and objectives that we'll be sharing with you today. But before we get into that, just a brief intro on what the strategic plan even is. This strategic plan follows on the city's previous strategic plan called Vision 2020, and it's really meant to set up a holistic framework for all of the city's top priorities over the next 15 years, rather, getting into the year 2050. It's important to note that the strategic plan isn't intended to supersede or replace any plans, but you can think of it more as a container, an organizing framework, something that gives you an overall holistic view of where the city wants to be in 15 years. And you'll see in some of our goals and objectives that we actually reference some of the existing plans and initiatives that the city already has in place. So a bit about what we'll be covering tonight. We just got through the opening remarks, and I'll be running you through the agenda right now. After that, we'll do a quick icebreaker activity, which is going to be on Mentimeter. For those of you who were here earlier and saw that instruction screen, that's how you get onto it. If you missed that, we'll be showing you that again, so no need to worry. And then I'll be doing a very brief recap of our project activities and some of our findings. And then the bulk of our session will actually spend in discussion. The first discussion, which you see under here, is going to be focused on our goals and objectives. We'll be spending about an hour going through that in 2 different breakout groups. So we'll be opening up virtual breakout rooms once we get to that part of the agenda, and you'll be able to choose which room you'd like to go to based on the topics that are going to be assigned to each. And then after that, we'll come back together as a larger group to have a discussion about how you'd like to stay involved as community members. And at that time, we'll also be going through Q&A and answering as many of your questions as we can. All right. So a bit about how to actually participate in this meeting. You can, of course, speak up during our discussion segments, or you can also use the Zoom Q&A feature, which is accessible on your menu bar, which is at the bottom of your window, and there's a Q&A button right there. That button is going to be active for the duration of this meeting, and everything that's submitted into that box will be sent to the project team. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be getting to as many of those questions as we can towards the end of the session. During the discussion segments, you're welcome to just to chime in and speak up. And although we do ask if there's multiple people trying to speak, we ask that you use the raise hand function, which there is also a button for on that toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And then we'll also have our exercises in Mentimeter, which is another platform that I'll show you how to get onto in just a minute. The Zoom function is also active. Everything you type in there will be visible to everyone else in the group, so feel free to use that to chat with your fellow attendees. Just a few other things to keep in mind. When we're not in a discussion segment, please just keep yourself on mute so that we can make sure there's no background noise distracting us. And then when leaving comments or asking questions, we ask that you please be respectful and be careful not to share any sensitive or personally identifiable information, since everything you submit will be visible to everyone else in the meeting. And beyond that, this meeting is being recorded and will be made publicly available for viewing online after the meeting. All right. And sorry, let me just back up for one moment. I forgot to introduce the rest of our team here. I'm also joined by Midori and Mitila, who are both part of the team here at Gensler. Midori has been leading our community engagement efforts, and Mitila has been supporting us in developing the strategy. And then also Christopher Locke from Designing in Color, which is a partner firm working with us, focusing on community organizing and DEI advisory. All right, I think that's everyone on our team, right? Yep, that is. Okay, so with that, I'm going to jump right into our fun little icebreaker activity. So this is going to require everyone to jump onto the Mentimeter platform I was just talking about. The instructions on the left will get you into that. Will get you into the platform, and you'll know that you're successfully in it once you see a message on your screen that says, "Nice job, you're in." It's probably easiest if you do have a smartphone to just use your smartphone's camera to scan the QR code, or you also have the option of just opening up your browser and then typing in menti.com and then entering the code that you see up on the left here, which is 99617286. So I'm just going to give everyone a moment to get onto the Mentimeter. And once you're on, you should see a thumbs up button on your screen. If you just want to hit that, that gives me an indication, a running count of how many people have gone on. So it looks like we have about a dozen, a lot of people on right now. So just another minute. Oops, sorry about that. Let me reshare my screen here. Okay, there we go. So now we can see some of the responses rolling in. Plumber Park, Kings Road Park, and WeHo Park are popular ones, as they have been in a lot of our past engagements. Summer Sounds, that's a nice one. All right. And if anyone is still having trouble getting onto the Mentimeter, please raise your hand, and a member of our team will try to provide some assistance for you. Okay, well, it looks like we have critical mass in the Mentimeter, so I'm just going to keep going. Again, if you're having any issues getting onto the Mentimeter, please just raise your hand, and a member of our team will reach out to you through chat and try to help you out. Okay. So let's get into our recap of some of the work that we've been doing so far. So most recently, we just completed our last set of workshops. We had a workshop with the city team, and then that was followed by our final community event. That was the third of 3 total community events, which I'll tell you more about and show you some photos from in just a moment. But the large circles here represent those main events, and this process has really been centered around those meetings as kind of key as our key method for gathering feedback. Beyond that, we also had additional feedback channels ongoing. We had the project website on Engage WeHo. We've had smaller group meetings with the Core Coalition and Action Team, which are 2 citizen-led groups or community member-led groups. And then we also did 3 community pop-up workshops where we showed up to existing community events to reach particular parts of the city and to spread awareness on the plan and also collect feedback. And right now we are just at the tail end of the plan development phase, and which is why the focus of today's meeting will be the draft strategies, which includes goals and objectives that we'll be showing you in just a moment. Following this, we'll be working with the city to refine the actual strategic plan with the intention of getting that completed and approved by City Council sometime in the fall. So a little bit about the community events that we had. So we had 3 of these major events, the first of which was at Kingsford Park in March, and then again at Plummer Park in late April. And then in late July, we had our final event at the Aquatic and Recreation Center. So that was just last weekend. And if you were able to go, you would have seen that beyond sort of the typical information booths and feedback exercises that you would typically see in an event like this, we also had free food, musical performances, and also we had representatives from various community organizations present who were there to engage with the community and also participate in the feedback exercises that we were doing. Which, all 3 of these events were fairly well attended. We were really happy with the turnout and got a lot of great feedback that helped us refine the focus areas, goals and objectives. And here you can see some images from these events. You can see over here on the bottom right, we had these griot conversation circles, which were led by Christopher's team at Designing in Color, along with these feedback exercises that you see up in the middle top here. And then on the bottom left, you can see some of the folks that came and participated from our local community organizations. And then, like I said earlier, we also did 3 pop-up events. That's where we show up to existing community events and set up a booth with information and feedback exercises. We chose these strategically to reach different segments of the community. So with the Aquatic Spring Fest, that was back in late April. That is a very family-oriented event, so that was a great chance for us to meet more people, more families with children. And then at the Mishka Festival, we were able to connect with members of the Russian-speaking community. And then with WeHo Pride, that was a huge one, obviously. We spoke to over 1,000 people over that weekend. And we chose that to really get the perspective of people who visit the city. So most of our events were primarily attended by people from the community who live in West Hollywood. And this was our big chance to kind of get the visitor's perspective. All right. And through these events, we first were able to identify these preliminary themes. So there are 8. And these are representative of what we were hearing, at least initially, were kind of the issues that were top of mind for people of the community. So this was driven by a mix of community feedback as well as feedback that we gathered from various city staff and leaders that we had connected with early on. From there, we were able to refine that further, shifting from just these broad themes into actual specific outcomes. And here you can see some of those outcomes bucketed into these 5 potential future visions. So that includes things like a safe space for all, and then underneath each, like you see these bullet points, which are actual like suggestions, outcomes, things people had expressed as items that they thought were important for the city to consider as part of the strategic plan. And then in our final stage, we took everything that we learned there with additional feedback that we gathered from the community to define these focus areas and goals. So the focus areas are the smaller, the items in smaller text, smaller color text. That includes community safety and well-being, economic development, climate action and sustainability, attainable housing, transparency and engagement, and then community connection. So those set kind of the overall topic areas that we knew needed to be featured within the plan. And then the goals articulate what the city actually intends to do with respect to the focus areas. So an example of which, number 1, under community safety and well-being, the goal is invest in equitable public safety and human service initiatives that enable all community members to thrive. So this is one of the main pieces of content that we'll be focusing on in terms of getting feedback from you today. You can see the A and the B on the side. That represents what breakout room will be covering these focus areas. So we have two groups, Group A and Group B. Group A will be focusing on the first three that you see here, those ones that are marked in green. And then Group B will be focusing on the latter three marked in this maroon magenta color. All right. And with that, we will open up the breakout group. So every participant who's in this call, you should see a window pop up in just a moment when I open up the breakout rooms. Please choose which breakout room you'd like to go to based off of what topics you are most interested in discussing. You will have the opportunity to move to different breakout rooms if you so choose. In fact, you can move back and forth if that's what you'd like to do. And at the end, we'll be doing this for about 60 minutes, and towards the end of the hour, we'll be doing a recap and then coming back together as a group for the second discussion. All right. So with that, oh, actually, sorry, let me explain the exercises, discussion one. Getting ahead of myself here. So like I said earlier, a window should pop up that will prompt you to select a breakout room. If for whatever reason you don't see that pop up, you can also access that by using the breakout room button. That should also be visible at the bottom of your screen in the same toolbar as everything else. And again, the breakout rooms will be focusing on what you see on the left here. And for each of the goals, we have two main prompts for you. First is we'd like to know what you think of when you read each goal. So we'll be going through each one, and you'll be given an opportunity to type in words or phrases that come to mind when you read the goal. So these can be things like desired outcomes, your kind of emotional response to it, programs or initiatives that it makes you think of, or concerns, or anything in between. Really, we just want to know what comes to mind first and foremost when you read the goal. And each person is invited to submit as many words or phrases as you'd like, but I would like to ask everyone to keep it to one idea per submission, meaning please don't write a whole string of phrases. It's better if you separate them into separate submissions. So that's the first part of each, this is the first prompt for each of the goals. And then after that, we'll be looking at the specific objectives that are associated with each goal, which I haven't shown you yet. We'll be looking at those once we get into the discussion. But for those, we'd like to know, what are your day one priorities? Meaning, of the objectives that are underneath each goal, what do you think the city should focus on as a near-term objective versus something that's farther down the road? Something that you feel is important enough that the city should really be getting started on it immediately. And then after we get that input from you, we'll be discussing that in each group in a conversation amongst all the people in each one. All right, so with that, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. I'll be manning group A, and then my colleague Midori will be in group B. So if you see me, then you'll know you're in group A. And if you see Midori, you'll know you'll be in group B. Okay. All clear. So we will open up the rooms.
I see Craig has a hand raised. Is there a reason?
I did reach out to them, but I didn't get a response.
And for those of you here in the main room, if you're having trouble getting into a breakout room, please let us know. We can go ahead and put you in there ourselves. Again, if any of you need help accessing one of the breakout rooms, please let us know.
Hello?
Yes, looks like we're all back in the main room. For the folks who are in my group, apologies that you got cut off there, but there was a timer on the rooms that kicked us all off. But
Well, may we make one more comment,
sure, please go
please?
ahead.
Very important comment. To ditto on Stephanie's comment, I would like to suggest that we have classes or symposiums on climate change and on education or symposiums open to all individuals here, business people, residents, etc. It's a great topic. We are concerned about the water and everything now, so now's the time to work on it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Yola. Yeah, I appreciate your comments. All right, so I'm just going to keep us moving along to the second discussion, which we'll be doing here as one large group. And this one, there's no formal exercises or kind of input or written input rather that we're collecting, but really just want to hear your thoughts on how, as a community member or as part of a community organization or any kind of group that you might represent within the city, how would you like to stay involved? And are there any particular goals or objectives that you feel, most strongly about that you would want to kind of support the city in implementing? And let me just, actually, no, I'm not going to share my screen. I'll just keep it like this. So go ahead and raise your hand or just speak up if you'd like to make a comment. And Yola, I see you have your hand up. Was that from before or did you have another comment?
Well, that was from before, but I would like to make a comment about residents with disabilities. I think that I would like to stay involved, advocating and assisting wherever I could. But I hope other people might be more involved and have a greater understanding of disability and what the ADA provides our residents. It's a powerful legislative action that happened many years ago, and something that I think it would be important to be involved with. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Yola. And Leslie, you have your hand up.
Yes, I really want to echo what's been said about sustainability in terms of climate change, but I'd like us to be thinking as a city of what we can do with our nearby communities. So, and I've seen it with environmental groups and certainly all sorts of other groups where every city or every area or every group has their own agenda. And if we can work cooperatively with Beverly Hills, some other, nearby cities, with the county, and I know some things we'll probably want to do on our own, but I think it would also help advocate for a greater population and for greater adaptation and be able to save us all money.
Got it. Thank you for that. Let's see, who do we have next here? I think Luis, you were next.
Yes, I'd like to see some more immediate things done for the elders and people that are housebound, particularly with the heat waves. Not everybody can easily get out and go to a cooling center. So if there's some way that human resources and human services could try and get out into the community to make sure they have fans, or if they can buy these small cooling units, I think it would be a good safety measure for our community.
Got it. Thank you. Any other comments people would like to make about how you, oh yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
Yes, Thank you. I wanted to say the first thing was that it is especially important for elders. And so the working with the people that we're talking about that a minute ago with the disability committee or whatever, they are hit hardest. And so definitely should work with them. And I also put in the chat, I work with a lot of groups that are doing things, and they might as well be doing things with our cities. I love the person who just said we should go work with other cities as well. There's a lot, there's funding, and there's just lots of community groups, nonprofit groups that I work with, youth and elders and just regular climate people. And they certainly would like to collaborate. So
Sure.
I think that's important too. I'm sure that if I had gone to the meetings of the recycle people, that they would have been amenable to it. It's just that I'm working so much with these groups that I don't really go around to cities. Although we did the farmers market, our group in Beverly Hills, and it was nice talking to them. They actually had a booth about what the city was doing at the farmers market, which is something we should do as well.
What the city's doing in climate action.
Exactly. You know, little fans and composters and all the things that we've done, but having a regular presence at a farmer's market is a good outreach thing.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you for that, Sherry. I'm curious, like, does anyone else in the group have any kind of examples of partnerships between different cities or jurisdictions, either with regard to climate action initiatives or anything else that we've discussed today as part of these goals and objectives? No, that's okay.
Well, I haven't muted myself yet. I would just say that I know there are programs in Long Beach, and there are programs in Irvine, and you know, other cities do have things, and we should, rather than reinvent the wheel, we should probably you know, suggest some kind of a network where city groups that are working on this share resources and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I will bring that up at my next climate meeting of the Southern, one of the groups is Southern California Elders Climate Action, and they're looking for things to do. And they like talking to cities as well. I've noticed some of the elders, they're similar age groups. So they're talking to the other elders that are part of the city, and they speak the same language. They talk about budgets and legislation and, you know, all the brass tacks of getting that kind of stuff done.
Got it. Understood. Thank you for that, Sherry. Christopher, did you want to chime in here?
Sure. I think one thing I was going to add to the staying involved bit to kind of help maybe give some more specificity to what you all are thinking, which has been great so far about cities and reaching out to high schools, which has also been shared in the chat, and trying to connect with them in other Southern California areas. I think that in the past community events, conversations with a variety of folks, there's been an appetite. Well, one of the agendas of this plan is to not just allow it to be a document, it's to allow it to be a living, breathing plan that folks can hold accountable to city staff and other folks who are involved, but also make sure that it's able to be actionable through the next 15 years. It's not just something we go back and look at, you know, every few years to make sure it's on track or not. So there will be evaluation and metrics throughout this plan to help it stay a course. But similarly, you know, how would you all envision being involved in the plan's success as individual community members in the city of West Hollywood? And I know there are many ways to be involved in boards and commissions and other things, but specifically looking at you all today and giving great insights, what are some ways, completely out of the box, completely out of left field, whatever you might think of, that would allow you all to continue to be involved if you wish, to make sure that the plan continue to be successful for years to come?
Something I've kind of been wanting to say, like this whole discussion is like a perfect response to that, in my opinion, which is I've found our community meetings to be really valuable for bringing our community together, with the griot circles and with the different organizations tabling. I think it's just a great opportunity for people to meet each other who might not otherwise meet each other. And I would love to see and participate in similar opportunities that bring people together to discuss what the city's doing, whether if it's related to the strategic plan, or I think also just creating opportunities to just bring communities together. Thinking about elders, I think it would be really great to give an opportunity for them and youth to connect, and having some sort of I don't know, discussion centering that would be great. And just also collaborating with task forces and boards and commissions, I think would also help connect to these communities and bring people together. And yeah, I really like what we've been doing, and I think it would be nice to see it continue, basically.
Great, thank you for that, Maggie.
I found this to be very valuable as well. I would really suggest that, as opposed to just being a strategic 40-year plan, maybe we should do it twice a year. I mean, strategy is strategy, ongoing strategy.
So yeah, it's something a bit more frequent.
Absolutely. I've met a lot of really good people. There's a lot of talent in this city, and I've really come in contact with people through this.
Great, thank you for that, Craig. Paulo, were you saying something?
Sorry about that. My audio went out.
Okay.
But Craig, I heard everything you said. It was great. Thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you, Paulo.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Craig. I don't think it should be one sweeping meeting that we have and then sort of watch it poop out over the years. I mean, it should be a living thing, like Christopher said. Like, we should do this more often and have some kind of link with each other, maybe a forum or some kind of group that we can all touch base. I'm not sure that or a Zoom meeting. I mean, possibly. But yeah.
Well, these all good ideas. I think, yeah, there's definitely been a strong desire that we've heard from a lot of community members to stay involved, but it always seems like, yeah, people aren't exactly sure how to, or they're just overwhelmed by the number of commissions and boards that exist and not sure how to kind of get their foot in the door. There was a really good suggestion in the chat. I wanted to call it from, who was it? Aaron, actually, which said to highlight opportunities, volunteer opportunities, boards, coalitions, etc., in the plan, itself, which I think is a great idea, and is really in line with kind of the city's intent to make this kind of a community-driven plan, as opposed to just something that is executed by the city alone. So thanks for that, Aaron. I appreciate that.
And we literally just had a conversation about what you wrote, Aaron, this morning. So your comment is very apropos.
I'm curious, Midori, in your group, were there any items that came up that you feel like merit further discussion that you want to raise to the larger group?
Well, kind of tangentially, and with the staying involved, we talked a lot about the community connections one, and this need for, I think this could kind of hit two birds with one stone. Like, there was a large desire to come together in person more often, and for the city to provide really easy ways and minimal resources for folks to self-organize and things like that. So it could be something that not only combats isolation and brings people together and that social cohesion, but also talks about the plan and how we're doing. And so it could kind of do both of those things.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any other comments related to how people might stay involved, or yes, Yellow, go ahead.
Is my thing open here? Can you hear me?
You're on. We can hear you.
Well, in the fall, we're going to have an anniversary, a West Hollywood anniversary in November. Wouldn't it be great if some of the very people that participated in this event could come together and maybe have a week-long celebration where some of this could be gone over, and then every November at least, if not twice a year, we get together and go over some of the things we've discussed, update things that need updating, or add things that need to go into this vision. And I think that way you get the personal touch. That way you have additions where people have had time to think about it. You have time to work with other cities.
Right.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think it is the city's intent to kind of keep this as something that evolves over time, right? The idea is to set focus areas and goals that are broad enough to be valid over a 15-year period, but the objectives, to a lesser degree, but more so the actions that will fall under each objective will very likely change over the years as, as priorities change, as economic conditions change and whatnot. So I think that's absolutely on point with how the city wants to handle this plan.
Great.
Any other comments? Christopher, any other thoughts or insights? Or maybe
No.
from the action team or core coalition that might be relevant here?
Yeah, I think there's been conversations with the action team and core coalition, which some of you, I think, have been a part of those meetings, the core coalition being nonprofits and individuals, action team being, actually, we have one action team member. Hey, Caitlin.
Hello.
Not to put you on the spot or anything, Caitlin.
No worries. What's up?
Do you want to talk about some of this is great. Thanks, Caitlin, for coming on screen. I wasn't asking you to come on screen, but now that you're here, would you like to talk about some of the discussions the action team has had around staying involved?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things y'all have brought up in the comments, like having a type of regular meeting, building off that Griot Circle experience in the community events that we've had, just getting like a lot of positive feedback about that like conversational check-in type atmosphere, and then really focusing on like what Christopher was saying before, like not letting it just be like a document that is like filed and checking off boxes, just really having that participatory government, that we like actually are working with the city, keeping them accountable and making sure we're seeing actual things happen. That makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Appreciate the input.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I know Craig also has been on a lot of the core coalition calls and maybe a few others who I can't see here. I don't know if Adam, you've been on those calls. I could be wrong. But I don't know if there's anything you all have shared from those conversations as well. I just want to give you all a chance to speak. Okay, all right. I think we're good there.
Okay. So let's see. Do we have any questions in the Q&A? It looks like Paolo has already answered some of them. I'm just gonna.
They've been answered if people want to go in the written answers, but if you want to go over them, they're in the answers.
Yeah, I think we have some folks that were having some trouble with this. I'm just gonna read out some of the question and answers that we got so far. So first question, how many total people participated in the 3 events? And the answer from Paula for that one, we're estimating over 500 community members through our 3 in-person community workshops and over 4,000 people through our 3 in-person community pop-up events.
Nice.
And then let's see. What is the city's mission and or vision? And Paulo responded with a link to the city's mission statement and core values. And just a little bit more context on that, the core values that the city has are something that we are keeping intact and was kind of like a guiding framework, at least in the beginning of our process, but is still very much something that's being considered, and each of the objectives that will show up in the plan will be vetted for kind of its connection and the degree to which it can support one or more of the city's existing core values. Let's see. Question from Peter. It's important that the city refrain from slowing traffic on Fountain with unnecessary bike lanes and blocked turn lanes. We should all take Fountain with ease. And Kevin thanked you for that comment, so thank you for that. And so any other final questions or comments before we wrap things up? We are coming up on time here. Good. Anyone from, oh, Sherry, go ahead.
I would just like to ask if, as a follow-up, we could be sent. I know it probably exists if we did a lot of research, but it would be nice to know what the groups are that take public input. Like, I think you just mentioned several groups that have public involvement. I'm not aware of that. I go to city council meetings, and I also would like to suggest that it have the Zoom again, because during the pandemic, when we had Zoom, it felt like there was a lot more engagement from people. I know I spoke, and something about just being on the phone doesn't feel as inclusive. So I would suggest to go back to that. I miss it.
Okay.
And also, I love this this ability in all the groups I am. It seems they're realizing the ability to have conversations really sparks creativity, and so it's inspiring to be part of it. And I hope you have more of them.
Great, thank you for that, Sherry. Let's see. Any comments from my team? Midori, Kevin, Tila. No?
I don't think so. We heard just a lot of great productive discussion in our breakout group. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for sharing.
Okay. Any other final thoughts? Peter, I feel like I mean, you've contributed a lot, but since you're on camera still, any final thoughts from you?
Everybody should floss regularly. That's
I will say this because I was tripped up earlier, and Kevin and Peter, don't take this wrong, but you guys are like double gangers of each other right now with the white beards. It is driving me mad.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, really? I'm on Facebook, so just find me on Facebook.
Can I make one more brief comment?
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm really involved in registration voting things in all these different groups, and for high schools, the Civic Center makes it very easy for them to have voter registration drives in September. So I'm working to that, but it would be nice to have more local involvement with those kinds of projects. And I also just voter registration in general. There's the EVP, Environmental Voter Project, which reaches out to environmentalists that don't vote. So it's very effective in changing a lot of these strategies that these groups are using. I don't know much about, except for I take their word that they're well researched and they have gotten good responses in the last elections. So reaching out to environmentalists and high schools and other strategies they have that I'm excited about and would like to have some help if anybody wants to work on those.
Thank you.
Oh, just my 2 cents. It would be great if the city could really promote the people vote in November. If there's any way for the city to really get out there with that message, that would be great.
And there's a connection between climate change and voting, because most of the candidates that we're trying to help, the blue candidates, are pro-climate assistance, whereas the others aren't. So it is very climate related to work on the election right now in particular.
All right, thank you. Actually, I'm not sure if we answered. Somebody earlier was asking about if there's Paulo, if there's some sort of online listing of all the commissions or boards or other kind of like groups that community members can participate in that will connect them to the city and its processes.
Yeah, so the city has a number of advisory boards and commissions. It's listed on our website, WeHo.org. weho.org. And you can find out more about each commission's purview and each advisory board's purview. And those meetings are open to the public. And those are available on an ongoing basis. So community members, depending on their particular interests and what they want to look at, is available there. Of course, we also have our city council meetings, which happen on the first and third, typically on the first and third Mondays of each month. That again is open and available for community members to participate in as well.
And could the gentleman from the city, I didn't hear your name. I am on the list that sends the calendar every week, the calendar of events. How does someone who's not on that list get on it to find out when those meetings are?
So you can go to our website at weho.org, and there is like a newsletter posting. You put your email in there, and you'll be notified of like upcoming future events to our mailing list.
Okay. Well, if there isn't anything else, we can give 9 minutes or so back to everybody for their evenings.
Eat more oatmeal.
That is a great point. I think this is our last public meeting for this project. We've been doing this since November. It's a little sad, but I'm thoroughly impressed by how engaged, caring you all are for the city of West Hollywood. It is truly a joyful thing to witness, and definitely cherish that. It's a privilege, but it's also something that the residents create. So yeah, it's amazing. That's a kudos to all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Hey,
Also,
everybody come out to the East Side National Night Out. We're on Gardner.
all right. When is that?
That's August 6th, Tuesday.
August 6th. Got it. Okay. Great. Well, thank you all. Yeah, echoing Christopher, I really enjoyed all the thoughtful commentary that we received tonight. You all have been great. And yeah, hope to see you all around at some point. As Christopher said, this is our last official meeting as part of as part of this planning process, but it won't be the last opportunity for you to provide your comments to the city. As far as next steps, like I said, we'll be refining the plan in collaboration with city staff. And after that, the plan will need to be submitted to city council for approval. And once that does end up on the city council agenda, there will be a public comment period, or sorry, there will be a public comment segment.
Have a saved chat.
Sorry? What was that, Sherry?
Oh, I was going to ask my husband if he knew how to save chat. I was just going to type in, could you save the chat? There was so many links there. It would be nice to have access to them.
Oh, I'm able to save the chat. I'm not sure if we're going to be posting that online, but if you wanted the specific links, we can definitely share those.
In any of it that you can share, I would appreciate. Yeah, because there was a lot going on. It's hard to keep up.
Okay, sure. And also, if you haven't already, I do want to show one last thing, which is a link to Engage WeHo, the online platform that I was talking about, where you can actually follow and subscribe to a mailing list, email list that'll give you future updates on the plan. And eventually, once it's in the implementation phase, I'm assuming updates with regard to that as well. So yeah, with that, thank you all again. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to speak with us and for all the valuable feedback. And hope you all have a good night.